Coronation Street evaluation. Todd became badly harmed with the aid of using Theo. Swarla aren't any greater. And Carl's evil plot continued. There's now no longer a variety of pleasure in Corrie this Christmas season. Our Coronation Street evaluation this week is virtually missing any festive pleasure. Christmas can be simply across the nook, however in Coronation Street there's no let-up from the unrelenting bleakness. It's all been doom and gloom at the cobbles. And I suppose this oppressive temper suggests how deeply each man or woman is suffering below the floor. Except for that tiny blink and you miss it second of Ryan in his adorable Jim Jams, which presented the briefest comfort from the misery. Even that scene felt like a reminder that pleasure is scarce in Weatherfield this year. And it is clean the display wishes us to sense that heaviness in each nook of the street. And there has been a touch teaser for the Corrie episode with every other John Sugden poster acting in Weatherfield police station. It's a diffused breadcrumb. However, I suppose it suggestions at a crossover that might convey tons wanted electricity 11 though for now. The temper stays firmly bleak. But with Theo's abuse stepping up, the give up of our loved Swarla, and Carl manipulating Abby, matters have been virtually now no longer feeling festive. Here's what we concept of the movement in our Coronation Street evaluation. Todd became badly harmed. This week, Theo's abuse of his boyfriend Todd grew to become physical. Theo has been tightening his grip for months. However, this became the primary time we noticed the violence destroy the floor in one of these raw, chilling manner. And I suppose this second exposes simply how dangerous Todd really is. The abusive scaffolder spent the earlier part of the week subtly pushing Todd to distance himself from Sarah, all beneath the guise of concern. It's clean he wishes Todd isolated, reduce off from everyone who would possibly word the reality. Even Todd talking to Billy became sufficient to spark Theo's anger, and that anxiety simmered all week like a typhoon ready to destroy. The actual cause got here while James Bailey stopped with the aid of using with package to ease Todd's aching muscles. Of course, Todd's ache is the direct end result of Theo forcing him into severe overworkout routines. However, Theo acted as though Todd had one way or the other betrayed him with the aid of using accepting help. The manner Theo watched James rub down Todd's legs glowering, jaw tight became disturbing. The second James left, that suppressed rage erupted. Todd paid the fee of Theo's anger. Theo had moved the replicate into the dwelling room, insisting Todd examine his personal reflection. It felt like a twisted electricity play, a manner of breaking down Todd's self-assurance with the aid of using making him confront a model of himself that Theo had already spent weeks criticizing. When Todd stood up for himself and instructed Theo now no longer to push him around, something internal Theo snapped. He grabbed Todd's head and slammed it into the replicate, leaving a deep, bloody reduce. This became one of the toughest scenes of the week to watch. And I suppose the effect landed so closely as it felt each unexpected and inevitable. At first, Theo attempted to downplay the injury, insisting it wasn't that bad. But while the bleeding did not stop, he immediately switched personas into the concerned, worrying partner. He rushed Todd to A&E, appearing as 11 though he became the hero of the state of affairs as opposed to the motive of it. The nurse really suspected something became wrong, and I suppose that second confirmed Todd's inner war greater than any line of dialogue. He had a threat to speak, to inform the reality, however worry and confusion stored him silent. Back domestic, Theo spun the tale again, positioning himself because the sufferer who hates being accused of injuring Todd. Then he pressured Todd to devour his bloodless dinner, every other quiet however brutal act of control. It's clean Todd is in the end realizing the reality that he's in an abusive dating and that second of readability is probably his first actual step towards escape. But the query now could be whether or not he can destroy Luce earlier than Theo escalates again. Swarla are over and were devastated. But virtually now no longer surprised. Becky has lower back with a vengeance. Sliding herself returned into Carla and Lisa's domestic like she by no means left. We watched her placing Christmas decorations, reminiscing approximately the past, and shaping narratives we are not certain we are able to trust. Did she ship the funeral wreath? Did she beat up Costello or have a person else do it? The confusion is intentional, and I suppose the writers need us to sense precisely the identical uncertainty Carla is trapped in. But not one of the chaos subjects is tons because the heartbreak, Carla and Lisa who are made for each other are over. The gradual unraveling has felt particularly painful due to the fact they have continually had this steady, grounding bond. We're clinging to the desire of a Christmas reunion, due to the fact the chemistry among them sincerely hasn't dimmed. Even Carla's short interplay with Eva this week hit beautifully, displaying how herbal the dynamic may be as friends. I assume that new connection can also additionally turn out to be critical as Carla navigates the emotional wreckage Becky has left behind. Carl tormented Debbie. Meanwhile, Carl's villain arc is getting darker with the aid of using the day. He endured tightening manage over Debbie's commercial enterprise affairs, manipulating documents, conversations, or even her knowledge of her very own condition. Most chillingly, he has been feeding her fake statistics to make her accept as true with her dementia is worse than it surely is. It's mental abuse, calculated to ruin her confidence. And I assume this storyline hits otherwise as it preys on the sort of prone fear. In many ways, Carl is each bit as abusive as Theo. Both guys are isolating, gaslighting, and dismantling the humans they declare to care about. But what makes Carl's tale even extra tragic is that he's a Webster, a part of a legacy-owned circle of relatives with many years of history. We don't forget Bill, a mistaken, however essentially excellent man. Kevin and Debbie have usually been strong, messy, unswerving characters. Carl feels just like the darkish reflect photograph of all of that. And his cruelty cuts deeper due to the own circle of relatives he comes from. Debbie's dementia tale is already emotionally heavy, and I assume it would not want this greater layer of torment. What we need is to peer her supported, especially with the aid of using Ronnie, who has slightly seemed recently. The storyline has the capability to be effective and dignified. However, Carl's interference makes it experience claustrophobic in a manner it really is tough to watch. With December handiest days away, we are desperately hoping subsequent weeks Corrie brings even a sliver of festive warmth. Right now, Weatherfield looks like a strain cooker, and I assume the target market desires a bit mild earlier than the year ends.
Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more movie spoilers next week. Goodbye and see you again.